Hello, welcome to Flower Juice. My name is John McDonald, and today we're going to look at making a wreath. So a wreath is a very traditional arrangement, generally for a funeral, and it's a ring of flowers. So maybe we should call them a ring of flowers, but it depends what purpose you want to do. So I know in the UK, when we say anything like a ring, everyone calls it a wreath, and then the immediate assumption is it's for a funeral. But they could be used for other things. So you might want to have rings at weddings. There's different things you can do. So what we've got here is we've got a floral foam base, and this is an interesting one because the base is very flat, which gives us really good access at the sides. I've got some beautiful yellow roses. We've got a few yellow double chrysanths. I've got some nice little callas. We've got some solidago and just some foliage for basically filling in. So what we're going to do first is we're going to use our foliage just to go round the edge. So basically you're going to cut things into small sections, and with something like calla like this you want to split it down so you're not going to have great big bits. But with a wreath like this you can actually bring things out or you can keep it in. It's up to you, but we're going to keep this quite neat. So we really just wanted to have a look at how you put together a wreath and just talk about it as we do it. So in the last few years, wreaths have become a little bit less popular compared to, say, like a spray of flowers. But I think it's a shame actually, because they really are a nice item. So we've got our salal, and now we're going to put in a little bit of leatherleaf. So this leatherleaf is just perfect. And really what we're doing is we're just going to hide that edge of the actual base. Now this is the type of base you could use for creating even like a table arrangement. So there's no reason why you couldn't put a candle into the center, or even a bowl into the center, and just use this to create a ring of flowers with that. So we've done the outer edge. So I'm just coming into the center and we're doing this inner section. And it's really just splitting the foliage down into little units and just lying them in such a way that you are really covering that foam. But because it's a wreath, we don't want to lose that hole in the center. So be careful that you don't overdo it. Because I have seen wreaths where they're so full that actually they just look like a big posy pad. So we don't want to do that. So I've got a little bit of French ruskus here, and this is great for just adding another texture and another element to our design. And again, you can split this down and get lots out of it. So again, just working around, filling in those spaces. Now, before we completely fill it with foliage, now's the time to add in your main flowers. So what I'm going to do is we're going to use the rose as our main flower. Now, there's different ways you can work, and when I first started out in flowers, a very traditional one was doing either 3 or 5 flowers, and if the rose is your main flower, then letting it sit up so that you really see it. So these are so beautiful. That's what we're going to do with this, is just put them in so that they sit up nice and high without being crazy high, but you can really see it. So the way to work a wreath really is to decide, are you going to do 3 or 5 or 6, and have that as your kind of underlying pattern. So as you can see, we're really letting them sit high, but we're going to be able to see down onto that. And remember, this item for a funeral is going to be literally sitting on the ground. So it's possible actually with this, you could even use some of this as foliage as well. So if it's in good condition, then that's not a problem. So we'll just have a little look, and we can make use of that as well. Essentially, you've paid for this foliage as well as the flower, so in a way it seems a little bit crazy just to bin it and then use another foliage that you've had to buy. So, but just be careful that it's in good condition, and actually it's better if it's really hot weather, probably to avoid the rose foliage. Right. Okay, so we've created our main flowers and our base of foliage. So our secondary flower is going to be these lovely callas. Now, what we can do is we can either come in between, which gives us a very traditional look, or we can come in and go slightly down and lower. Because these are quite long, I'm just going to come in straight in between. And with your callas, just be careful when you're putting them into the actual oasis. Sometimes they can be a little bit tricky to work. If you think that they're going to bend and buckle, then make yourself a little guide hole with a stem. So we can use like even this stem here. Create a little hole, then drop your calla in. And it is in contact with the foam. I am making sure that it does that, but you're just avoiding possibly damaging that stem as you insert it. So that's our callas. And now really what I want to do is think about the outer edge. So I've got a little bit of viburnum actually, which is really sweet. So we're going to use a little bit of that. And that's got quite a nice little berry on it actually. And that's just giving us a little change of colour. But the other thing I wanted to use was some lovely solidago. So this is going to give us really a difference in texture. And we can really just work this in, basically following the roses actually, works quite well. And if you do that, sticking with the guideline of where you're placing stuff, you are going to get quite a nice consistent look. And got some wee bits there that we can just come into the centre as well. This is good. So I think actually it's quite nice using the yellow. It gives us a really nice zingy colour, and it feels nice and fresh. And actually, if this is for a funeral, this would be good for a man, but also just a nice choice for someone who was a happy, upbeat sort of a person. So don't be scared to use strong colours and happy colours. Right, so that's our solidago. And I've also got some of these double chrysanths. So chrysanth, very traditional flower, and what we're going to do is we're going to bring that in lower down into this other level. Now these don't have to be quite so symmetrical. You can if you want, or you can be a little bit more loose about where you place them. So I've gone around the outer edge. I want to take one or two into the centre, and straight away you can see that's making the shape more solid, just bringing that little bit of colour into there. So it's helping define the shape. And then some of these little buds, we can go up into this kind of higher space. And I definitely wouldn't waste any of this. We might as well put it in. And I think again, it's just making it look more natural, because you don't just have big flowers in real life. You do have buds, you do have little bits. Now, just to finish, I've got some beautiful, it's like a dill, or like an angelica, or it's some sort of herb anyway. And I just want to put in a few little touches. And this is going to give us, again, another little bit of depth and contrast and texture. And this is good for just splitting down. And again, don't forget the outer edges. So we can just work in a methodical way round the outer edge. And then up into that centre area. So we've got quite a traditional way of creating our wreath, but actually the materials are making it look more modern, more kind of nature inspired. And that contrast between the big materials and the smaller materials is really what's making that work. So. And then just a case of just have a little look, make sure that there's no gaps, or if there's a wee bit where you need a little bit of colour. Taking a little bit of colour right into it works really well. And that's us. We've got a traditional wreath of flowers featuring 5 roses as the main flower. Secondary ones are the callas, and then really the other materials are creating the backdrop and creating the ring of flowers. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. We've got lots more to come, so click here to subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you soon.